This is the train station in Colmar. It looks standard for France. The train stations in France are also elaborate for some reason. When you arrive, it looks like a typical European city, so you have to walk or get a tourist bus to get to the old town to see the pretty buildings. The tourist buses are free. They can take you to most of the tourist places. The places are not that far apart, so you can actually walk as well. The old town looks like a page out of a children's storybook. It also has a district called Little Venice because it has canals and colorful architecture. The streets have these little guides to take you to iconic places. This one is for the Statue of Liberty. The sculptor of the Statue of Liberty, Bartholdi, was born in this town, so it's safe to say Colmar gave the US the Statue of Liberty. You can also visit his house in this village. It has been turned into a museum. Colmar also has a Statue of Liberty, so keep watching until I get there. Colmar is in the Alsace region. This region is famous for its wine and cuisine. I guess wine and cheese goes well together. They have a wide variety of cheese. Monster cheese originates in the Alsace region. Monster cheese is actually one of the oldest cheeses in France. In this shop, they had a lot of cheese made with herbs. I'm not a cheese connoisseur, so I can't rate how good the cheese is, but it looks so authentic. We got some monster cheese in this shop. It didn't smell that strong when I was there, but after I left and when I was on the train to get back to my hotel, it had such a strong smell. It's the only thing I could smell on the whole train. Colmar has a few nougat shops as well. I didn't get to try any though. Colmar inspired the movie Howls Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is an anime movie by Studio Ghibli. Basically, the set of the movie was drawn based on this town. It's so amazing that the architecture looks so similar to the film. Before I visited this village, I thought the whole set was drawn from imagination, but some parts are so identical it's like they drew a copy of the streets or the buildings. Check this set of buildings compared to the ones in the film. Do you see what I mean by that? The director of Howl's Moving Castle, Miyazaki, visited Colmar to study the architecture and the surroundings for the setting of the film. Miyazaki added a Japanese approach to the setting, but it still looks very similar in my opinion. It really shows how Miyazaki appreciated the architecture in Colmar. It's so beautiful that you don't want to change it too much. Honestly, my camera doesn't do Colmar justice. It looks so much better in person. This park can also be used for a Christmas movie, you know? It can be like the place where Santa lives. What do you think? No? The funny thing is that sometimes I don't realize I'm at a movie set location until somebody points it out, whether it's like a tourist or like a tour guide or a local. So it gets really interesting when you weren't expecting something and then it's just right there in front of you. This time around, Colmar was the inspiration of Howl's Moving Castle. It looked familiar, but I just couldn't connect the two until somebody pointed it out. The same thing happened when I visited Malta. I ended up at a Game of Thrones filming location without knowing, until the tour guide actually told me about it. I've seen a few sources online that claim that Colmar inspired the set of the Beauty and the Beast animated movie as well. It's probably true. Belle's village looks a lot similar to this, and the Alsace region has a lot of buildings that look similar to this. I feel like most Christmas cards I've seen were probably inspired by the Alsace region. I had brunch at this place. Another tourist convinced me that it's good. One thing I'm never going to get used to is allowing dogs in restaurants. I like dogs, but just not in restaurants. I mean, assistants' dogs are fine. I'm just scared of germs, so when they shake, I don't know what's in the fur. I mean, they roll around everywhere on the floor. This bruschetta was good. The waiter was very nice as well, but the kitchen staff seemed to take their time. I waited for ages, and for the dessert, I also waited for a long time. When I asked for it, the waiter went to ask the kitchen staff, Then I got told it's not available after like 45 minutes or so. I was wearing heels because I didn't think I was going to do a lot of walking. So I had to get some trainers. I thought Colmar was going to be a little town, but it's actually quite big. It has a lot of shops if you need to get something quickly. The shops are quite pricey though. Most are designer shops, but luckily I found a sale. Colmar is actually one of the driest places in France, which makes it ideal for winemaking. So you can actually do wine tasting tours as well. They got this farmers market. I think it's only available on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So if you do plan to visit, check it out because it has a lot of local foods. So that would be a good way to try some of it. It's a shame that I didn't have enough time to try out most of the foods, but I got some decent souvenirs. I've seen a lot of recommendations online that you only need 1 day in Colmar, but that is ridiculous in my opinion. Okay, if you are just gonna come and take a picture and go, then fine, a day is enough. But if you actually want to try out the foods, experience the culture, do the tours, visit historical places, then 1 day is not enough. I did plan out only 1 day for this trip as per the recommendations online, and I did regret it because I wasn't able to do a lot of things that I discovered. So for anyone who hasn't been here, I would say give it a minimum of 2 days. Apparently, treasure was found hidden in a wall in 1863, so probably some of the buildings have treasure hidden in it too, since they're so old. Some of the items were sold by the people who discovered it before the full extent of the treasure could be recorded. I don't think it's any on this display though. It looks just like a random collection. This area, I guess, is the reason why Colmar is also called Little Venice. I've always wondered, how do they build these canals and the buildings stay intact? How does the concrete not melt? This part of the old town was packed with tourists compared to the other parts of Colmar. I guess it's the prettiest part, so everyone wanted a picture, but I didn't think Colmar would actually have that many tourists since everyone is always going on about Paris. The time of year as well did not make sense to have so many tourists. I thought most people travel during school holidays or summer. I can't imagine how many tourists would be around in summer. There are so many Michelin restaurants in Colmar. Google says it has a total of 29 Michelin restaurants. I think the people who reviews and rates these restaurants are from this town, because there is no way that many stars can be in one town. I mean, I get it, France is known for its food, but come on, some countries don't even have one. I also think they give these stars according to the reviewer's taste. To be fair, I've never been to a Michelin restaurant, but all of the fancier restaurants I've been to, the food was underwhelming. I love these little streets. They make me feel like I've traveled back in time to the medieval ages. And this street really looks like a scene from Howls Moving Castle. There are actually a lot of restaurants on this street, so it shows how many tourists they get. And here's another Michelin restaurant. Maybe next time I should go to a Michelin restaurant. I need to see what the hype is all about. Colmar is on the France and Germany border. Most of the towns on this border have been a part of either Germany or France throughout history, mainly due to wars between the two countries. Colmar is not part of France, but you can still see the German influences in the town. In my previous video, I also spoke about how Strasbourg, another French city in this region, has also been part of Germany. The thing about these old towns is I never know which streets are used by both pedestrians and cars. This one, for example, there's no curb to show where the pedestrians should walk. The floor is all stone, and I almost got run over. It's actually quite impressive how not many tourists get injured by this. Or maybe they do, we just don't get to hear about it. This place is so picturesque. No wonder why so many animators took inspiration from it, and I'm sure in the future there will be more films that will have a set inspired by this town. Before I visited this Alsace region, I thought most of France looks like Paris or Bordeaux, so this was a really nice surprise. I wonder what more I would have been able to see if I had more time to do the canoe tour. I'm sure there's a lot more to Colmar than what I saw on this trip, so I would just have to figure it out next time. This bridge has these cute love padlocks. I wonder if the shop that sells them takes them out if they run out of space. They are meant to be permanent, but considering the amount of tourists that visit every year, the bridge would have run out of space by now. Just a little more on the history of Colmar. Colmar was actually part of the Holy Roman Empire. It was occupied by Sweden for several years during the 30 Years' War. Later on, it was annexed by France. And during the Franco-Prussian War, the town was under Germany until World War I. It was then reoccupied by Germans during World War II. When World War II ended, it was then returned to France. So throughout history, Colmar has been passed around like a football. Its history is complex. This is just me oversimplifying it, but it's worth looking into it. Colmar is actually really easy to get to. It has good train connections. You can also get here by air. It has a few airports nearby. Since it's right on the border with Germany, you can easily tour the German cities as well on your trip. It's also near Switzerland, so you can either go to Germany or Switzerland after. To give you an idea on how close the cities are, Colmar to Strasbourg is a 15-minute drive. To Zurich, Switzerland, it's only a 2-hour drive. And to Stuttgart, Germany, it's only a 2.5-hour drive. Here's another Michelin restaurant. They really are everywhere in Colmar. Maybe Colmar really does have the best restaurants. I only went to one of them, so it's hard to judge it based on that. Remember when I spoke about the Statue of Liberty and how the sculptor Bartholdi was born in Colmar? And that they also have the Statue of Liberty here. This was on my way to see it. It's quite far from the old town, so you would need a car to get there, or you could cycle. I took a bus, but the schedule is a bit long. The buses don't come that often. So you'd have to wait for ages to get back to the old town. Behold, here's the Statue of Liberty of Colmar. I swear I was here for like 2 minutes. It's quite small and not that amazing. It's only 12 meters, so about 39 feet tall. The one in the US is 151 feet tall, which is about 305 meters. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please comment down below and tell me what you think about Colmar. Please also like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.